Dan Antonelli from Kick Charge Creative. Welcome to the first episode of Branded or Blanded, where we answer the age-old question, is my company branded or is it blanded? Today, we're going to be talking about the branding for AC Plus, which is a company that is owned by Matt Pastoyan in Victorville, California. This is a company that we recently rebranded. So we're going to first talk about the grades that we give him in these different categories. And then we'll talk about what we did on the rebrand. So starting with the name, this is a company that has actually a good name. You know, I like the name AC Plus because it already tells me that their primary line of business is air conditioning. I like the fact that the word plus also gives us an indication that they also do heating. So that part I think works actually very well in this particular case. Okay, so naming, I'm going to actually give them an 8 for naming. Next, we're going to be talking about memorability. So is this a brand that I would remember having seen before, right? So looking at the actual logo itself, which uses kind of these swirls here, and you can see it on the vehicle as well. Not something that I think I'm going to look at and be like, oh my God, I totally remember seeing this. So from that perspective, it feels like something that maybe isn't as memorable as we would like it to be. So I'm going to give them a 5 for that particular category. Next, we're going to talk about brand colors. So looking at the logo itself, we've got a lot of blue and black. Again, two colors that are not very, very unique or easy to own specifically. So I'm going to actually give them a low grade for colors because I don't think the colors are very unique. And you can see that even their colors are not very well integrated on the wrap itself, where we've got this blue, which is part of their brand colors, but then we kind of introduce green, which is not actually part of their brand colors. And then we even have red, which is not part of their brand colors as well. So for brand colors, I'm going to give that a 3. Next, we're going to look at the logo itself and the lockup and how the logo itself is arranged. The good news on this part is at least the logo is legible and I can read it and I know exactly what they do. So that part actually works very well. But again, is it something that is unique, something that I'm going to remember, something that is very sticky? Not really. So I'd say this is more of what I would consider to be neutral because it's not really negative and it's not really positive. I'm going to give that a 5. Next, let's look at the vehicle wrap itself. So a lot of challenges here. Like for example, right here, the optical dead center of this truck wrap is basically vacant. Okay, so we're missing critical information that typically you would want to see in this exact space. Next thing on this, you notice that we're using colors, like we mentioned, that are not in our brand. So we have this green grass, which is not something that is even necessarily related to what they do. And we have the blue sky. So this is really more about a background and really less about their brand specifically. Next, let's take a look at where the actual website address is placed, which is all the way down here. Not exactly the best location to put such an important piece of information. And you'll notice too, instead, they actually highlighted the phone number here and tried to make that more important than the actual website address. So if I were to do this over, I would typically put more emphasis on the actual URL. Next, you have this day and night logo. I don't even know what that is. And you have this elite logo up here. I'm not real sure what that is as well. And then you have a tagline here, comfort every hour, which is really, really challenging to read. Okay, so vehicle wrap, not really feeling this one. I'm going to say 3 for that. And that brings our total score to 23. And then that's going to lean it a little bit off of neutral. So definitely trending more towards the negative in this particular instance. Next, let's look at the after for them. Okay, so what did we do to try to address some of the problems that we had before? So naming obviously will not change. That's going to remain the same. But we wanted to create something that was a little bit more memorable. So the idea was leverage this word plus, right? So leverage the idea that the word plus is something that we can leverage in a graphic. So the word plus then relates back to obviously the graphic, right? So I'm trying to connect the visual with a name, AC Plus, and I've got the plus sign there. Obviously trying to create a mark that is unique and distinct. So using this symbol here and creating a very simple but more stylized plus sign. and certainly creating something that I think is a little bit easier to remember when having seen it. So I'm going to give that an 8 because I think we really solved some of the challenges that we had before. As far as brand colors, like to me, when we looked at his market and what colors were available, these were certainly colors that were not very well represented. I think when you look at these trucks, they're very, very unique, very disruptive. And honestly, I don't think it gets any better than this. I'm going to give this one a 10. The logo itself and the lockup. So we look at things like legibility and uniqueness and how well the mark is integrated and can I read it from a distance. So all these things really hit on the things that we typically want to see in a lockup. So for that, I have that as a 9. And the vehicle wrap itself. This is definitely one of my favorite vehicle wraps that we've done. I just think that the colors, and I hate to use the word pop, but they really do pop. It's really hard to miss this. So this goes again to the idea of making sure that each impression counts, making sure that that homeowner remembers seeing this truck. And then when they need service, they're going to think about this van that they saw that was so unique and so different than all the other white vans that they've seen in their particular market. So vehicle wrap, I'm going to grade that as a 10. That gives a total score of 45. And that puts us pretty close. No one's going to get perfect. It's really hard to get perfect, but they're definitely a hell of a lot better branded now than they were before. So listen, I'm going to be doing more of these. If you guys want to have your brand that we haven't even rebranded, you can certainly submit that to us. And we're happy to grade that as well. But we're going to be talking about brands that we've rebranded, and we're happy to look at anyone else's if they want us to take a look and give it a grade. So listen, thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.